Hey, welcome. My name is Kelsey. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a part 2 in a declutter little mini series, which if you didn't see the first one, you're definitely going to want to go back and watch that one. I decluttered a bunch of eyeshadow palettes, some other eye products, and like 20 lip products. So if you're interested in seeing that, I will make sure it's linked up above. But today I'm continuing with my declutter of face products. So I have been on a kick of decluttering. I feel like I've realized a few things about myself through 2020 and through the whole COVID situation, and my makeup preferences have changed so much. And so I went through my makeup collection a few weeks ago and just like got rid of a ton of stuff because I was just sick of it. I wanted to be able to focus on the things that I really liked. I feel like I've had a lot of things that are getting older and just need to move on. A lot of these products I'm going to be talking about today are things that I have loved, like they've been in favorites videos in the past, and I either just don't reach for them anymore or they're kind of just to the point where they're getting too old and they need to move on. So if you're interested in seeing all the products that I'm decluttering today, let's jump in. First, let's start with a few brushes. I just have a few here. I'm pretty selective with my makeup brushes. If I don't like a makeup brush, I'm just gonna get rid of it. I don't feel the need to keep it around. So I just have 4 here. This first one is from Billion Dollar Brows, and it came in like a brow kit that I got in BoxyCharm, and it's a smudge brush, and I just have no use for it. And so I'm getting rid of that. A similar one is from Luxie, and it's the Flat Definer. Pretty much exactly the same, just a little bit shorter and like a little bit more dense. A little tiny brush, this is from Flower. It actually came in an eyeshadow palette that I bought a little while ago. The palette broke and I got rid of it, but I kept the little brush because I thought it was kind of cute. But I have other brushes like this. I don't need a mini one of it. The last brush, this came as a duo in BoxyCharm, and I do have the smaller one still. It's just like exactly this same brush, but a little bit smaller. This one, I just never quite figured out what to use it for. Like the other one is just, I feel like I can use it better with like cream products, concealer, foundation, all that kind of stuff. This one's just like a little too big to like get in the areas. And then I don't like a brush this dense for like powders. And so I've tried using it a few times and I just need to get rid of it. Now onto the makeup products. I have 2 different primers. This first one I've just had for a really long time and I don't really ever use it. It's from Dr. Brandt. It's the Luminizer Primer. This was a BoxyCharm item. This was a theme with this declutter, is that so many of these products are from BoxyCharm, and it makes me really glad that I don't subscribe to BoxyCharm anymore. This was it was an okay primer. It was like an illuminating, kind of pore refining primer. It was good, I guess. I just didn't really reach for it. 1, because it has kind of a weird scent. And 2, I don't really use non-cruelty-free products, and this was not cruelty-free. The next one, I'm mainly getting rid of this because the packaging annoyed me. This is from Touch in Soul. It's a No Poreblem Prime Essence. So this I got in BoxyCharm a few months after I got the Touch in Soul No Poreblem Primer, which is more of like a thicker silicone-y kind of primer, and I do really enjoy that one. This one I thought was good. It's just like the most liquidy primer. It's like a little thicker than water, like just barely. And it just gets everywhere. The cap gets all nasty. And another thing I've discovered about my makeup collection and my choices is that I don't like things that are messy. And so this one has just gotta go. I have 2 concealers. Again, this one's messy. I don't know why it's so messy. And then I just don't really like it, but it's the e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer. It's in the shade Light Peach. I've had this 2 different times, or like I bought 2 different shades. This was the one I bought first because I was like, light peach, that seems like a shade that would work for me. This is the lightest color concealer I've ever used and was way too light for me, even under my eyes. I tried to use it as like a eyeshadow primer, but it just got messy. Like I feel like every time I took it out, I was like getting product all over the place, and I've just had it for too long. This one is another case of like, I shouldn't buy this shade anymore. This is from NYX. It's the Gotcha Covered Concealer. I love this concealer, but this one's in the shade Ivory, which usually I can use ivory colored things. This one is just too light. And I've had it for probably 1.5 years at this point, and I feel like even going into winter, I'm not gonna use it, and so I just need to get rid of that one. This one was something I was so excited for, and I just can't figure out like a good way to use it. It's from Cover FX, and it's one of their glitter drops. It's in the shade Nova. That took a long time. It's in the shade Nova. It's this really pretty like gold glitter product, but there is like large chunks of glitter in here, and so I was never really sure how to use this. It is very thin in consistency, and so I used it a few times as like a highlighter kind of thing. I've actually tried using it on my eyes before, and it's a really like almost powdery kind of finish, but it's here. I put like the tiniest on there. It adds so much glitter. And so I haven't found a good use for this, and I've had it for a while at this point, so it's just time to get rid of it. Here is where we're gonna get into a lot of products that I love or have loved, and they just need to go. These are all face color items. I love blush and bronzer. I also used to really love highlighter. I don't do highlight quite as much anymore. And so these were like products that I haven't used a ton, but I've known I need to like do a harsh declutter on these items for a while, and I've just been neglecting it because I love face products so much. So I just kind of got real with myself and did it. Let's start with highlights. This first one is absolutely beautiful. It's from Artist Couture, and it's one of their Diamond Glow powders, and it's in the shade Summer Haze. It's the most beautiful highlight, but it's in a loose powder formula, and so that just made it kind of annoying to use. But at some points in my makeup journey, I've been like, screw it, it's worth it, this thing is beautiful. Now I just don't care. Again, an old favorite. This is from Essence. It's a pure nude highlighter. This is like the original one. It's in the shade Be My Highlight. I think since they've done like a few different colors in this. I have recommended this to countless people. I have bought this for multiple people. I just don't use it anymore, and I don't like, I wear highlight maybe once a week. Like that's a strong maybe. And I feel like it's just a little, I put some on here, and I feel like it's just a little like deep for my skin tone. It's usable, but I feel like I have to be careful with it. And there's other products in my collection that I don't have to be as careful with, and so I just reach for those. We'll move into some single blushes. Again, I love blush, so this was hard. This is from Milani. This is actually a blush that one of my friends gave me. It's one of the like rose powder blushes. It's in the shade Coral Cove. I actually have a palette of these blushes now in colors that I use. This one's just a little too bright for me, but it was what made me kind of like fall in love with this formula. And so thanks, Miranda, for giving this to me, because you created a monster and now I have a palette. This one was a favorite for so long. This is from Studio Makeup, and it's the Luminous Loose Blush. This blush is freaking beautiful. Like, not even joking, probably one of my favorite blushes I've ever had. I have just had this for so long now that I forget about it. Does anyone else forget about like their favorite ever products? Just me? Cool. But it's a loose blush. And I just don't reach for it, but I put it here. It's the most beautiful on the skin. It just makes your cheeks look like flushed and like beautiful and not over blushed, not like you tried too hard. It just looks like you're naturally like gifted in flushness. I don't know. I loved it. I don't think I've used this for 2 years. Another good one. Essence Satin Touch Blush. This one's in the shade Satin Coral. Too many S's there, trying to like slur them all together. This is beautiful. As per typical with Essence products, the packaging is not good, but the actual blush is beautiful. I think because of the packaging being broken, I have not reached for this in a very long time, and it's annoying. I don't want to bring it with me. I don't want to use it, and so I'm just gonna get rid of it. Another favorite, I'm telling you, this was so hard. This is from Note, and it's the Desert Rose Luminous Silk Compact Blusher. Beautiful, beautiful color. If I was looking for like a peachy color, this was it. It's peachy without being like too orangey or too pink. It's just the most beautiful like matte blush without being too matte, if that even makes sense. It's so pretty, super pigmented, but you can go in with like a light hand. I had it in my last makeup focus, which lasted literally like 6 months, I think. I just started pulling everything in because I was like, I'm not cycling through my makeup and I don't have time to think about this. But this was in there for the whole time, and I think I used it like twice. And so it's just time for it to move along. Last blush, this is from Bare Minerals. This is the Ready blush in the shade The Indecent Proposal. I think they rebranded these blushes as like the Gen Nude blushes. Beautiful color, beautiful formula, looks great on the skin. It's like a really nice mauve-y color. I had this in my project pan for 2019 and came nowhere close to finishing it. But after 2019, I was like, I'm gonna try and use it and see what happens. I've probably used it twice in 2020, so I think it's safe to say it's just time for it to go. I have one single bronzer, and then I've got a few palettes to go through. This is from Model & Co. Oh no, sorry, Model's Own. Too many model things. This is the Sculpt and Glow Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade Light Tan. I hadn't really tried anything from Model's Own, and I feel like I had heard good things about this bronzer and was kind of like, I don't know, that looks really orange. But there was something about this that looked great on the skin. It was very warm, so it wasn't really like a winter thing, but in the summer, I feel like this looked great on the skin. I just didn't use it very much, and so on it goes. Now on to palettes. I have a few I have two duos, and these are very similar in what they do. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Contouring Palette. It's in the shade Dulce de Leche, which is the lighter color. I don't know how many of these I have purchased. I've probably had this like 4 times. This like banana color used to be my go-to color for setting my under eyes. Back when it was like popular to do lighter colored things and I was like doing multiple steps. Now it's like, do I put powder on? Maybe. I've had this one for probably 2 years, and I think I've used it 3 or 4 times. Both of them, I mean, it's a great formula. I've just grown out of it. Kind of a similar story. This is from Catrice. It's the Prime and Fine Professional Contouring Palette. You have a very cool toned contour color and then a highlight. This one's in the shade Ashy Radiance, which, she ashy. This is such an ashy combo. Like, not only is this an ashy contour color, the highlight is ashy. Like, I don't even want this ashy highlight on my face. It makes my skin look dull and highlighted. It's the weirdest color formula in this. I bought this because I feel like I had heard good things about the contour color. I've had it for at least 2 years and I've probably used it like 2 or 3 times. It's just not for me. Again, this is something I love. Like, I love this palette. This is from Wander Beauty. It's the Wanderous Dusk to Dawn palette. And there is 3 different shades in here. You've got 2 blush and a highlight. I pretty much only used this color. This is a beautiful blush. But I did discover this is very similar in shade to another blush that I have that I really like from CoverGirl. It's the Iced Cappuccino Cheekers blush. Super similar color, and so I honestly used that one more. This shade is also very pretty, and then the highlight, while it's gorgeous, it's a little bit too deep for my skin tone, and so this was just a palette that I like individually love the products in here, but together there was just something that I didn't reach for like more than 1 shade at a time from this, and so it's time for it to go. This was a favorite for a long time. I actually, when I first got this, I was not a fan, and then I started to like really love it. It's from Pure. It's the Sculptor Palette. You've got like 2 bronzers and 2 highlighters. I mainly used these 2 colors. They were a little bit lighter. This one is pretty dang dark, and then this highlight is also kind of dark. I mean, they're all 4 kind of darker, but there was something about this contour shade that I actually could get away with using it. I don't really know. I just had to use like a really light hand, and so I actually loved this palette. I used it a ton. And then it kind of just fell off my radar for a while, and it never came back up with the bleep. Did you get that? Radar, how they like bleep? Anyways. Last palette. Oh my goodness. I loved this palette. I still love this palette, and it makes me very sad. This is from Physicians Formula. It's the Butter Collection palette, and it's in the shade light to medium. One of my shades fell out, which I was a-okay with because this was like a pink highlight, so I never ever used it. But these 3 I used a ton. So you've got the bronzer in the shade Bronzer, blush in the shade Natural Glow, and then highlight is in the shade Full Moon. These are absolutely stunning products. I bought this because I had never used Physicians Formula like Butter Collection, and I had heard so much about it, and people raved about butter bronzer and stuff. And so I bought this because it came out, and I think like exclusively, all of the lights in my room just turned off. So I hope it still looks okay. Weird. Anyways, it came out in like exclusively to Walmart, and I don't have a Walmart by me, and so I had to like specifically go to a Walmart for this palette, but I was so excited to buy this, and I loved it. Like, I loved the products in here. I loved the colors. It looked great on the skin. It was so soft on the skin. It does have a very high scent. Like, there is a ton of scent to this, but it just, they like glided on the skin and just looked beautiful. And so I was so tempted to buy like individual ones, but I was like, you know what? I need to use these first. I don't need to like buy more than what I already have. And then Physicians Formula is not cruelty-free anymore. What? I don't know what happened, but they're not cruelty-free anymore, and it's a very sad story because these products are beautiful, but this packaging is kind of bulky, and it's kind of annoying, and I'm just kind of over it at this point. And so, it's gone. And that is everything. That is all of the things I'm decluttering. It is a lot, but I'm feeling good. I'm like excited about my makeup collection as it whittles down. I am loving everything, and I'm actually like excited to try new things, even though I'm not wearing a ton of makeup recently, but it's always fun to try new things. But that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would love to have you around. And until next time, bye guys.